Hello, 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 everyone. Hello, YouTubers. It's Anonymous T. Hope you're having an amazing day today. So today we are discussing Ready to Love Potomac. We are discussing Reunion Part 1. And as I expected it was a hot mess. It was the Sabrina hour. And there's just a lot that I need to address. First and foremost, I am very disappointed in Joy and Carmen's behavior. I didn't like how male identified that they were. For instance, when the Dakia segment with Eric and she's talking about how uncomfortable and inappropriate she felt that the groping was, and then Joy is giving him like a hug right after, like, oh, it's okay. And it's like, no, this is not okay. Obviously, a woman felt violated and felt uncomfortable, and you're basically propping him up like it's no big deal, even though Dakia said that there was witnesses that say otherwise and can confirm that it was not appropriate. And then also with Carmen during Sabrina's segment with, her and Donovan and everything else, she's up here in the background calling Sabrina the B word. And it's like, that is so childish. That is so immature to me. And all that tells me is that you're the rebound. You know that Donovan still preferred to be with Sabrina had she not chose Demetrius over him. And that's the real tea, you guys. Because there is no way you're going to be calling another woman out her name unless you find her to be a threat, right? Am I right or am I right? Because there's no reason, right? She should be a non-factor to you if you, quote, have the guy, if you have Donovan. But all that told me was that Donovan, as much energy as him and, Sabrina still have for each other, there's still feelings there. Strong feelings there. And Carmen is the sloppy seconds, and it's going to blow up as quickly as it started. As for Nephew Tommy, I'm not sure what's happening. I wasn't sure whether or not how this was going to go, because remember, of course, he didn't host last season because he had COVID. But I felt like there was a lot of bias this season. And I felt that he was very pro-male, like even more than before. Normally, he holds these men accountable. Normally, he's pretty equal if there's wrongdoing on both the male and female parts. And I felt as though he really held back. Like, even with Eric, it was kind of like, okay, well, you apologize. She forgave, like just trying to move it along. And it's like, no. That technically was not an apology. It was I apologize if I made you uncomfortable. That's not an apology. An apology is, I am sorry. I went out of bounds. I was inappropriate. And, whatever I can do to rectify things, make things right. But this I apologize if nonsense that people are doing these days is not an apology. It's basically I'm sorry if you feel that way, but I don't feel I did anything wrong. But I'm going to put this out there just so I can get you to move it along. So it's not genuine at all, you guys. It's not genuine at all. But there's just a lot to get to in this reunion. I'm very disappointed overall with the men this season because I just felt like, even with the initial clips, it was all about sex. It was all about sexual chemistry with most of these connections. And it just seems like everybody was horny. Everyone just wants to hook up with each other, whether it's during filming or after filming or whatever. And nobody is seriously looking for a relationship with the exception of Joy and Clifton. I mean, if we want to keep it a buck. And if Sabrina would have finished the process, whoever she would have ended up with. But outside of that, none of these other couples I'm taking seriously. And this just is what it is. Laverne's still trying to get his 15 minutes of fame. And another thing I wanted to speak to is this whole alliance business now. Because now we're 6 seasons in. And the show needs to be revamped, you guys. The show needs to be revamped because why is it now that women are running back and telling the men what's said at the lounge so that they can plot on who they want to take down? And all it told me was that the women were jealous that Sabrina was in a lot of these men's top choices and they wanted to sabotage all of her connections one by one so that they could get further. And that is not genuine, you guys. That is not genuine. Just like this whole Tori thing, if Sabrina is telling you that she's had a deeper connection with Demetrius, and basically she can't help what production is going to edit, she can't help what production is going to show as a certain type of connection on camera, you know, for us to find out where the missing gaps are. Like, why are you questioning her? And why are you feeding Tori information from the ladies' lounge, having him all gassed up, thinking that Sabrina's all about him, to where by the time he even thinks about another connection, it's too late in the process for him, because he put all of his eggs in Sabrina's basket, because that was the game that Joy was playing and hoping that Sabrina and Tori would be off in the sunset together. And when that didn't work, then they decided to, you know, methodically, you know, undo Sabrina's other connections. And that's just shady boots, you guys. That is just shady boots, and it's completely unnecessary. It was clear to me from day one that, you know, Sabrina looked at Tori more as like a friend, a comrade, this and that, and maybe was trying at some point to see if there was anything more there. But I always felt immediately when she saw Demetrius, I'm like, oh, they're each other's types and they like each other. And then when Donovan came in as a wild card, I thought him and Sabrina had the potential to go to the end together. But clearly at the retreat, everybody was moving weird, and that completely just blew everything up for them. But, you know, this whole thing where people are just making these assumptions and assuming certain people are at a certain level so that you can try to sabotage and get eliminated the people that you want so that you can have your friends with you at the end of the show is just lame. It is lame, it's childish, and it's silly. Like, why can't you just focus on your connection with Clifton and let everybody else get to know who they need to go? No, because we didn't even know that Sabrina and Demetrius had all this stuff going on off camera. We didn't know that Sabrina and Donovan are kissing multiple times off of camera, and she also kissed Demetrius apparently off camera as well. So it's like, but they're showing us, production is showing us that, oh, you know, Tori and Sabrina, it's vibes. It's, you know, they're going to be one of the couples at the end. And, you know, they're, you know, booed up. And that's clearly not what Sabrina was feeling. So again, it's like, where do we go from here, you guys? Because production wants to sell a narrative that, you know, they want to push certain people, and really the only authentic couple to push is Joy and Clifton. But as for everybody else, you know, what is all this off-camera stuff that's taking place? Why is all of this stuff off camera taking place, and then we get to the reunion and then all of these bombshells drop? Like, make it make sense for me. And even for Carmen, I don't even think she's into that Donovan either. But I think they're just, you know, it's sexual tension or whatever. It's friends with benefits is what it is. It's when two people are attracted to each other sexually, there's nothing of substance, and you're hooking up, and that's on that. Because there was nothing of substance in their conversations compared to the conversations that Donovan was having with Sabrina. He was having conversations with Sabrina on the level of a man who was looking to be in a committed relationship with somebody. The conversations he was having with Carmen was like a lot of heavy flirting, a lot of sexual innuendos, a lot of hookup culture nonsense. It wasn't anything long-term to write home about. And, you know, this whole thing that now is going to be with Precious and Laverne and Carmen, and who called who and who's trying to get eliminated who, like, it's just so petty, you guys. It is so petty. Like, why are women, and even men, because men have done this on other seasons as well, why are you guys doing this? Why are you getting involved in other people's connections and trying to vote off other people? Why can't you trust the connection that you have with the person, whether you make it to the end of the show or not, is authentic enough to sustain whatever? But this whole thing where we're going to get in an alliance and we're going to try to dismantle people's connections is so lame. It's so silly. It's so dumb. And, you know, I felt, to be honest with you, after seeing a lot of the clips tonight, I actually wish Wiley would have went further in the show. I actually think we missed out on truly getting to know somebody like Wiley. I think people counted him out because he was younger and, you know, basically ruled him out as a possibility of somebody that wanting something serious. But I actually really liked Wiley. I was, of how the behavior of the men tonight were acting, I would have preferred Wiley been at the end than most of them sitting there on that couch. Because a lot of them were being very immature, very petty, very bothered, very emotional because they didn't get the woman that they wanted. So this was their opportunity as some get back to try to insult them. And that's just so stupid, you guys. That is so stupid. And then Tommy throwing jabs. I don't think he likes Sabrina because he's going to say, okay, well, we're going to be back with Sabrina and all of her men. And it's like, well, dag. And I want to say something because Sabrina's getting a lot of heat. She's getting a lot of backlash. And I just want to understand why it's okay for men to date multiple women and, you know, not be upfront and not tell them, you know, who's number one or whatever, lead so many people on. And then out of the blue, 6 months later, he's, you know, married off to somebody else. And nobody says anything, right? Nobody says anything, nobody cares. But when women do it, when women date multiple men at the same time, it's an issue. When women date men at the same time, it's an issue, and people want to size each other up, and then people want to try to do some get back nonsense. And that's what we see here with the whole Sabrina, Tori, Donovan, and Demetrius situation. Unfortunately for Tori, he never, you know, explored options with other people and basically was fed bad intel by the ladies and assuming that Sabrina had him at her top when that wasn't the case. It was almost as if the women blocked out what Sabrina was saying about her other connections and just assumed, okay, she gave the best adjectives and descriptions about Tori, so that means he's in the lead. So let me tell Tori that so that he doesn't, you know, mess with this connection or that connection, and him and Sabrina can be together. And that way, you know, Sabrina's other connections can be with my friends. No. This is not how this works, you guys. You're messing with real people's emotions, you guys. And, you know, Tori should have had the discernment as well to have conversations with Sabrina and just not take what all these women are gossiping about as the gospel. And now you look like a fool on national television because you missed how deep the connections were with Demetrius and Donovan. And I think really the issue with Sabrina and Donovan is obviously they're very still passionate about each other. If they're both agreeing that they had, you know, one hell of passionate kisses and everything else, but it wasn't ultimately worth all of the trouble, there's still some tension there. And you don't have tension like that unless it's somebody that you have feelings for. You're not reacting like that on stage and making comments about the Golden Girls and being petty. And here's the thing. I never understand why do we do this? Why do we think that calling somebody Golden Girls, and it didn't even apply because the people that you're saying it about was actually younger than the people that you're actually, you know, cool with in the cast. Like, it didn't even make any sense, number one. But I guess they're interpreting it as, oh, you guys are going to be of a certain age, you're going to be single, you're going to be gossiping and whatever else, and not married. But the gag is they all had a personal life on the show if you're a Golden Girls fan. They were very much, you know, talking about dating and living their lives and everything else of their certain ages. Golden Girls is not a drag, you guys. And if it was supposed to be an age drag, I don't understand why it is. Because at some point, we're all going to age. At some point, we're all going to be of a certain age. So why, like, what was the point? So it's just very weird. It's very weird behavior. And then Donovan's posting a video with the Golden Girls theme song on his Instagram. And I'm like, yeah, you still want Sabrina. you still want Sabrina, and you can't tell me any different. And you're pissed that you saw the vibes between her and Demetrius that was further along than what you and her were. So you decided to hook up with Carmen so that way you didn't leave empty-handed and that you could still make it to the end of the show. And that's all that was, because Carmen wanted Eric. That fell through when he had to leave the show because of the Takia situation. So they both are each other's second choices. And Carmen looked like she didn't even know that Donovan preferred Joy. So it's like even further. Carmen, you're the fourth choice on Donovan's list. That Sabrina was number one, but had it not been Sabrina, it would have been Joy if he was there from the start. And then after Sabrina, it was Tina, and then also Carmen. So Carmen, you are fourth choice, calling another woman the B word and trying to act all like you got the prize that I's married now, looking like a fool on national television when you were his fourth choice. And we always see how this happens and how this works out on these shows when you are somebody's fourth choice and you're not their first choice, you're not their preference. Or we have these heated discussions. We saw it before with Kyra and Jason on a previous season. We've seen this time and time again. And, we even saw it last season with Nadia and Dante, where there's these heated conversations at the very end and somebody's about to get eliminated and you guys are obviously off camera much further in your connection than what is being shown to us. And then we find out later that, oh yeah, you actually preferred each other, but something went left and you decided to partner up with somebody else last minute because somebody didn't explicitly choose you when you wanted them to choose you. So you wanted to be on some get back and be like, okay, well, I'm going to be with Liz instead since you can't choose me. I'm going to go be with Carmen instead since it looks like you're further along in your connection with Demetrius compared to me. No. That's not how this works, you guys. When you make decisions like that based off of being petty, based off of being bitter, that you can't have the person you want, you're now going into another situation to where you're trying to fake your feelings. You're trying to sell an image to people that this is somebody that you want and want to be with. But deep down, really, this is just your rebound because you can't have your first choice. So you basically settled so that you can say, hey, I was one of the couples that made it to the end. Hey, I'm going to keep up the PR and the press and I'm going to, go on tour and go on vacation with Joy and Clifton and make it look like we're double dating and this and that, and the third. And then at some point, a few months later or whenever Miami premieres, we'll announce our breakup. But we'll just keep up appearances, to make it look like we really won. No. Not gonna fly here. The show's been on for too many seasons, and it's the same routine with these couples. It's the same exact routine, right? Even last season, how Aisha and Dante became real at the end, and then, we thought that things were real with Phil and Sydney, but clearly we were all bamboozled. Because it seemed like pretty much up until a certain point, Shiloh and Phil were going to be the final couple. Until that went left. So I just don't know where we go from here, but I feel like we need to revamp the show. I feel like we need to cast better men overall because it's just very exhausting. It's very frustrating to see these men disrespect these women like this and it's not getting checked. And people are laughing, and then there's females who are so male identified that they would not be having the same energy if these men gave them that type of same energy to them. But because it's not them, they don't care. And they're going to be petty, and they're going to call somebody the B word, and they're going to hug on somebody that just was accused of groping somebody inappropriately. Like, it's not okay, you guys. We have to hold each other accountable. We have to hold each other accountable. And, for me, I always felt like Joy and Clifton were cute throughout the whole season. I didn't have any issues with them. However, I had an issue with Joy. And even next week, she's cussing up a storm as well in the preview. And it's like, what are you doing? And then I'm disappointed in Demetrius because it's like, why are you asking if Precious is high? Like, seriously? Because you don't like how she's reacting and how she's communicating to you? Your first thought process is to accuse her of being on drugs or being inebriated or being on, you know, some sort of a substance? Seriously? And then Tommy just sits there. Nephew Tommy just sits there. Like, this is 6 seasons in, you guys. Why couldn't you have checked Demetrius and say, hey, that was too far. We're not going to accuse people of being on drugs or being drunk or whatever just because things are getting heated, just because things are getting escalated, right? But the fact that, you know, Precious was just able to walk off like that, and allegedly there's like another walk off apparently, like, it's just too much, you guys. It's just too much. And it just really shows how much of the show has really changed and has really declined from what it was the first 2 seasons. The first 2 seasons were the most authentic, and women, if they both like the same men, if they recognize that, hey, you have a stronger connection with this person, so I'm going to bow out gracefully. I'm not going to be in this petty fight with you, and kept it moving. And they're not in some petty alliance with somebody else they're not really into just to try to make somebody else jealous or get somebody else's attention. But it sounds like, you know, since Sabrina's connection with Demetrius was sabotage and he told his mom about Sabrina and Donovan kissing, you know, Sabrina felt, you know, there's no way I'm going to be meeting your mom after you're talking to your mom about me kissing another man. And I want to discuss this because I did a video on this a while back. You know, when Sabrina did her interview with Crystal XO and discussed this, and I said how much this is mirroring what happened season 4 of Ready to Love Houston with the Liz, David, and Jason drama, right? Where basically Liz was set up to meet Dave and his family, and she had told Dave, I guess off camera or prior to meeting the family, like, hey, me and Jason shared this kiss on this date or what have you, and I just wanted to keep you, you know, up front. I wanted to be honest with you. I wanted to keep it 100. And then at the event, at the lunch or whatever it was with Dave's family, he just lost it on Liz and, you know, was trying to gaslight her, was trying to talk about the situation, was trying to, you know, basically take down her character and her morals and everything else. And it's like, I don't know what these men want. You have one instance where a woman's being upfront and telling you, hey, I have multiple connections and I had a kiss with another connection and somebody still loses it. And then you have another situation where the female is dating multiple men, but doesn't tell, you know, the other gentleman that, you know, there was a kiss that took place, and he has to find out from another guy weeks later when it's at the end of the process, which sabotages the connection that the two of you have to where you didn't even talk to her for a little while. And that's messy. Like, what was Sabrina supposed to do? Could you honestly say, Demetrius, if Sabrina told you her and Donovan kissed, that it was going to make a difference? You're still going to feel hurt in some type of way. You're still going to feel it like an ego, you know, deflation in some type of way because she was your main connection. And Donovan, that was just low down and that was just petty. And Sabrina even said in that interview with Crystal XO that you told her not to tell anybody about the kiss, but when it was no longer a possibility of you and Sabrina moving forward, you decide to drop the bomb on Demetrius in the 11th hour. No. This is not how this works. And that's what I mean when people are moving malicious and people are moving to be petty. This is what happens. This is exactly what happens, you guys. So that was pretty much for the most part what took place in this reunion. I don't even know if I'm really anticipating, you know, next week or what have you. It looks like Clifton's proposing to Joy, and that might be the only positive thing that's going to come out of next week. But honestly, it could have been done this episode. I don't know why we need a second part if we're keeping it a buck. I don't know why there's a part 2. Because pretty much we hit on all the main storylines in this episode. So really the only thing that was really left to talk about is Joy and Clifton's connection and why Tina left early. So, and all this other stuff is kind of like, all right. More about alliances and more about people playing run tell that to try to sabotage other connections. We talked about that tonight's show. So, I don't know. It just seems like, not only is Tommy over this season, but he definitely wasn't checking these men like he normally would have about treating women with respect, about making inappropriate comments that are too far, and this and that. Like, I don't know what took place, but he just seems over it and seems to not like these women at all, it seems. So there's that. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. What did you guys think of part 1 in this reunion? Like I said, for me, my takeaways, Sabrina and Donovan still want each other. Carmen and Joy are male-identified females and are very childish. And it says a lot that all of these other women are cool with Dakia and Sabrina, but not cool with them. That tells me everything I need to know. Because how hard is it for you to have multiple girlfriends? Unless there's drama. And Carmen just calling Sabrina the B word, that is not a girlfriend at all. That is somebody who is jealous, and that is somebody who sees Sabrina as a threat, even though you're supposed to be the one who, quote, got the guy in Donovan. But now we know that Donovan still wants Sabrina, actually, and that's the true tea. So let me know what you think in the comments. Please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you're notified the moment I post new content on my channel. And with that being said, I'll talk to you guys again very soon.